when I showed up at my sister's birthday dinner only to be sent to the kids' table, and my BIL smirked. I was looking forward to my sister's birthday dinner. We'd all been through a lot in the past year. Family drama, health scares, you name it. This birthday was supposed to be a fresh start, a family gathering to celebrate. My sister, Maya, had always been the life of the party, the one to bring everyone together. So I had high hopes for the evening. The evening started off wonderfully. Maya greeted everyone at the door with that huge smile of hers. My parents were already in the kitchen, laughing and preparing the meal. The atmosphere was warm and welcoming, like it always was when Maya was around. But as soon as I walked in, I felt something strange in the air, like a subtle tension I couldn't quite place. I shrugged it off. Maybe I was overthinking things. Maya hugged me tightly. "You made it!" she exclaimed, then gave me that look. That look she always gives me when she's about to tell me. Something weird, but in a playful way. Guess what? We're trying something different this year. "You're sitting with the kids," I laughed, thinking she was joking, but her eyes were serious. "Wait, what?" She pointed to the dining area, where the kids, our younger cousins, ages ranging from 6 to 15, were already gathered around a small table near the kitchen. My mom waved from the counter and chimed in, "Yeah, we thought it would be fun." "You'll love it." I was taken aback. I didn't want to make a big scene, so I smiled, nodded, and took a seat at the designated kids' table. But something felt off, like I was being mocked without anyone saying a word. I glanced at Maya, who was giving me a weird smile. Then I noticed my brother-in-law, Bill, Ethan, sitting at the adult table, and he had this smirk on his face. He always had that smug expression, but tonight it felt like something else. I couldn't shake the feeling he was enjoying this, seeing me at the kids' table. As I sat down at the table, I tried to calm my nerves. My cousins were excited to have me there, but the whole thing just felt wrong. The kids were happy, sure, but they weren't exactly the most interesting conversationalists for a 29-year-old woman. They talked about cartoons, video games, school drama, things that were so far removed from the adult conversations I was used to. Meanwhile, I could see my family at the adult table, laughing and chatting over fancy appetizers. I kept looking back, trying to get a glimpse of Maya, trying to gauge her reaction. Was this just a silly joke, or was there more to it? And then I saw Ethan. His smirk. There. It was again. Every time he looked at me, it was like he was silently laughing at me. He and I had always had a bit of a strained relationship. He wasn't outright mean, but there was this underlying tension between us. He would always brush off my opinions, dismiss my ideas, and generally make me feel smaller whenever he could. Now, sitting at the kids' table, I couldn't help but feel like this was his way of getting back at me, a subtle reminder that I wasn't grown up enough to sit with the adults. Maybe he thought I didn't belong. Maybe he thought I was still a kid. I felt my blood boil but did my best to keep calm. I shifted in my chair, trying to play along with the kids. One of my younger cousins, Mia, asked me if I liked the birthday cake she'd baked. She was 10, but she looked so proud. So I smiled and told her it was amazing. She lit up, and I realized this little table had its own charm. The kids were excited, innocent, and full of energy. But the whole time, my eyes kept darting to the adult table and to Ethan's smirk. That look, I couldn't shake it. As the evening wore on, my frustration built up. I kept thinking about the fact that I was an adult, that I had been a responsible, self-sufficient person for years. And yet here I was, sitting at a tiny table with plastic cups and crayons scattered across it, while the rest of the family celebrated like everything was normal. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I stood up and walked toward the adult table. "Maya," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "can we talk?" She looked up, clearly surprised. "What's wrong?" I motioned toward the kids' table. "You really think I belong over there? Because honestly, I feel like I'm being treated like a kid." The tension in the room immediately shifted. My parents were silent. My cousins quieted down. Ethan looked up from his wine glass, still with that damned smirk on his face. "Come on," Maya said with a forced laugh. "It's just for fun." I wasn't having it. "Fun? Maya, I'm an adult. I get that this is your birthday, but I'm not some 12-year-old who needs to sit in the corner." Ethan finally chimed in. "It's not that big of a deal. Lighten up, all right?" But that smirk, his attitude, was driving me insane. "Ethan," I said, now feeling the heat in my voice. "You think this is funny, don't you? Seeing me over there, does it make you feel better to see me put in my place?" The room fell deathly silent. Maya's eyes widened in surprise. Ethan's smirk faded, replaced by a hint of guilt. "Look," Ethan started. "I didn't mean anything by it. It's just a joke." But his tone wasn't sincere. It was the same dismissive way he always spoke to me. It was the same way he'd made me feel less than, as if I wasn't worthy of being treated like an equal. I wasn't sure where the courage came from, but I looked him dead in the eyes and said, "It doesn't feel like a joke. It feels like you're trying to put me down." There was a beat of awkward silence. Maya looked between us, clearly uncomfortable. But she finally spoke up. "I'm sorry," she said, turning to Ethan. "That was messed up. I didn't think about how it would make you feel." Ethan just stared at her, his expression unreadable. He opened his mouth as if to argue, but then closed it. His smirk was gone. The rest of the night was awkward. Maya apologized again, and so did Ethan in his own way. It wasn't a grand moment of reconciliation, but it was enough. I sat at the adult table for the rest of the evening, but the whole thing had been a reminder of how fragile family dynamics could be. How small things, like where you sit at a dinner, can reveal so much about hidden tensions. As we gathered around for dessert, I realized something. The dinner was a mess, but in some strange way, it was a necessary one. We all had our own flaws, our own baggage to work through. Ethan might never understand why his actions hurt me, but Maya did. And that mattered. When the cake was served, I leaned over to Maya and said, "Thanks for making it right." She smiled. "Your family. I'm sorry for putting you in that position." And just like that, the awkwardness melted away. The evening went on, and we laughed and shared memories. Ethan's smirk was long gone. By the time I left, I felt different, like a weight had been lifted. It wasn't just about the seat at the table. It was about standing up for myself, for my worth, and for my place in the family. Maybe I was treated like a kid that night, but I knew I wasn't one anymore. And that was enough.